Hello everyone. So in this video I want to discuss with you all on the skills that we as a chartered accountants, we as a finance professionals are required in this RPA domain. So this is something which I came across when I am scrolling through some sort of LinkedIn, and just I thought that this is something very useful, and this is something highly expected from the chartered accountants who are driving RPA projects in their own companies. So I'll just show you some sort of image, and I'll then shortlist some of the skills that are required for functional consultants like us. So here we go, the image part. So this is the image I came to know from the LinkedIn, which shows that these are the essential skills that are required for a perfect RPA consultants. And whenever we say RPA consultants, there are broadly two categories: functional and technical. Technical consultant is a guy who will be designing these robots, and that is not something which we are into, right? So many a times I have mentioned in the course, we will not be doing this designing part. Rather, what we'll be doing is the functional consultants, where we'll be driving this project as a project manager and doing all the activities apart from designing. So that's the brief difference between functional consultant and technical consultant. And this particular image, if you talk about, this speaks more on technical consultant, because here we have an element of programming also into consideration. So overall there are 6 key skills that are pointed here, but I will be shortlisting the top 4 skills that will be suiting for a functional consultant. Of course, I'll be explaining other 2 skills as well, but remember, those are for technical consultant. So what are the top 4? And if you see the segments, one is on communication, the other is on business, the other is on programming. So just to read out, there is a storyteller skill, salesperson, business guy, evangelist, power user, the geek. So all these are the 6 top skills that our RPA consultant is required. And here in this session, my focus will be on the 4 things. Can you guess? That is on storyteller, evangelist, salesperson, business guy. So these are the top 4 most skills I will be speaking more about in functional consultant. And if you add more, the power user and geek, that will be a complete skill set of a technical consultant. So just to go ahead, the first skill is the storyteller. So what exactly, who is the storyteller first? In a simple sense, it means a person who is good at narrating something, who is good at articulating something and explaining others, right? So a similar skill, a similar mindset, a similar attitude is required for us who are acting as a functional consultants. But in what scenarios do we need to exercise this particular skill? I have 4 examples for you. I'll be connecting these particular scenarios, and I'll tell you, or I'll highlight you why we need these storytelling skills. The first thing is knowledge transfer to developers. You remember my picture? I used to say that, okay, this is my achievement that has come in Gulf Daily newspaper. If you see the team, I'm only the person representing finance team, and I was given a person who is the designer, correct? So there, what I'm doing is I'm transforming all the knowledge that I got into him, so that I'm actually doing the knowledge transfer, saying ki this is how the process should run, this is how the control should be, this is how the approval mechanism should be in this particular process. So this way I'm narrating him the actual process that I'm doing in my finance and accounts domain. So that is the first scenario where you need to exercise your storytelling skills. The second thing is training your colleagues to make them understand how the robots work for you. So this is something which is related to internal change management, where you are the person solely responsible for convincing the staff, or giving more clarity to the staff on how their work is going to reduce, when their work will start, what are the requirements that are actually involved in dealing with the bots. So all these things we need to narrate to the staff. This is the second scenario where we need storytelling skills. Third thing is the workshop. This is something we do very often throughout the RPA development process, where we will be explaining them or giving a brief introduction to what exactly is the bots, how they are going to benefit us. And the last thing is preparing user stories and process to be documents, simply PDD documents. So in this particular user stories section or in these documents, what we'll be doing is we'll be writing the process as is document, saying ki this is how the process is working. Well, so in all these scenarios, what is the essential skill that we require as a functional consultant is storytelling. Well, so with that, we'll be closing the first skill. Moving on to the second one, it is the business guy. So who is a business guy? A business guy is a person who knows end to end in his business domain, in his knowledge domain. You can be in tax, you can be in audit, you can be in accounts, you can be in finance, you can be in MIS or whatever, compliance, whatever. So you are the expert in that particular domain who will be having the knowledge of end-to-end process flows, correct? With respect to the validations, with respect to controls, with respect to a process flows, with respect to the approval mechanisms or whatever, right? So you should be in a position to grab the complete knowledge in that particular area that you are looking into, correct? So with that particular domain, with that particular knowledge equipment, you will be in a position to act as a subject matter expert or a sort of process owner for that matter whenever you are automating your process. Well, so this is the second skill where you need to have a complete business acumen, complete domain knowledge of the area that you are looking into. Well, the third skill is evangelist. I think many of us might not be aware of this particular term. So what exactly is this? Is a person who is a positive guy, who will be driving any scenario with a positive mind, positive attitude. Well, so he is called evangelist. And in what scenario we need to have such a mindset? Well, let me tell you again, it's on the change management where you are required to drive the staff to adopt to the bots and make them adaptable to work with the automated process. Well, in fact, I have shared my experience in a previous video with respect to complete automation journey in my organization. There I have spoken more about how the staff is reacting initially, how they are not able to accept the outcome from these bots. That time you need to convince them on the benefits, or you need to drive the change by clearly articulating the benefits and clearly articulating the initial hurdles that we'll be encountering at the time of transformation. Well, so here we need to be positive and we need to spread the positive vibes, or we need to create a positive scenario where people will be accepting these automated robots. Well, and of course this is the very essential skill as who is acting as a project manager, and this is something which is required at all the stages of RPA journey. Yeah, so with that we just learned about the third skill that we require, and the next skill is salesperson skills. So what is that you are talking about? Well, let me tell you, this is applicable if you are on the other side of the game, like when you are representing RPA developers or when you are someone who is working with the RPA implementation companies. So that time you are supposed to have these salesperson skills or marketing skills where you are required to close the deal by showcasing the best use cases on the finance and accounting domains on RPA. Well, so there you need to have these analytical skills with respect to analyzing a particular use case with respect to return on investment. Yeah, the time it saves, the hours it saves, the cost it saves, all these workings and all. Yeah, so that sort of skills, that sort of deal cracking skills are something that you need to have when you are representing the RPA implementation companies like UiPath, Blue Prism, or sort of any new startups on RPA domains, or consultancy companies for that matter. Yeah, and the next two skills, I think up to 4 skills we have covered, and those 4 are something that are really required if you are a functional consultant. Now, as I told, there are a new role which is called RPA designers for us as well, but again it's something limited to the CS who want to who is more interested towards creating the robots. Yeah, this is not for all, but well, for our knowledge purpose, we'll also be seeing what exactly are these 2 leftover skills. The first thing is GEEK. What exactly is this? Some things sometimes we'll be hearing like tech geek or blockchain geek, RPA geek. Well, geek refers to a person who is actively into some sort of technology implementations, some sort of technology learnings, or some sort of technology applications. Well, but here we can refer to a scenario where if you are a geek, I mean, if you're a person who is constantly researching on these product developments, on these automation technologies happening around the world, you can suggest the RPA team on what technologies to be used. Whenever they came across some sort of hurdles or the roadblocks in creating these robots, that time you can suggest, okay, we can utilize this sort of technology. I'll give you a simple example as well. When we thought of starting an RPA process with BRS, we end up seeing the bank statements in different formats, different PDF statements. But again, reading information on the PDF is something that is not so flexible for a robot. Unless we configure them, unless we use some sort of add-ons, then only that will be flexible. Then the idea is that why can't we get that particular statements in Excel? Again, that is the alignment, this data structuring is something which is good enough in Excel than the PDF. So these sort of ideas you can give if you are the geek, if you are constantly researching on these particular tools, the best practices or the best implementation technologies in RPA. Yeah, again, just to give you some examples, you can suggest on some of the applications like using OCR, computer vision, whenever we want to read some data from invoices, whenever we want to identify some sort of documents or some sort of objects with these images. Yeah, again, some sort of handwritten tools as well, if something is written using the handwritten text. So all these are ideas that you can give if you are the geek. Well, again, you can do the process reengineering if something is not working accordingly. Also the sort of process mining on what activities, up to what level, extent or the percentage of a process can be automated. So those are something that will be coming into if at all you have a skill of just like a tech geek. Well, so the last thing is, of course, the power user. So who is he? Well, a power user is simple. He's a user of computers, software or electronic devices, but he is the person who uses these advanced features of hardware, operating systems, programs, websites, which an average user will not be able to do, right? So just to give you an example, we'll be using Chrome as an end product, as an end user, just for sort of surfing down the internet. Only that purposes we'll be using. But there are people who will be doing some sort of developer tools or some sort of inspecting the pages and doing something so that script becomes editable or that page becomes copyable. So these sort of advanced functionalities they will be using. So those users are called power users. But sir, is it like these are the skills I want to know? No. Well, we are not required to know all this, but at least the basics are something that we need to use. And again, this is something which is for developers and designers, not for the functional consultants like us. But if you are especially interested in also doing this programming, also doing these designing the boards, you are most welcome to have this particular skill as well. But having said that, we even as a functional user needs to acquire the minimal experience on how to use these particular tools. Just to tell you, we just need to know some skills on how we can use, how we can build a basic applications on UiPath or a basic applications on a Blue Prism or automation anywhere for that matter. Well, but if you are a person who is a technical consultant, this is your core area. The power user and the geek are the core areas, even as shown in the picture as well. This forms the core elements if you are a designer or a technical consultant. Well, so this is all I have for you in this particular session. Again, this is something which is additional to the original course or the main course, but this is something which we supposed to know. Well, and hope you are enjoying this particular RPA course, and if you have any doubt, you know how you can contact me. Well, please complete the course and have a successful career ahead. Thank you.